Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of Grace Ace Attorney Chronicles. Last episode, we got into Miss Pavlova's cabin. It turns out we are busted, but Mr. Herlock Sholmes decides to do a deduction to find out what the true mystery is. And now, we're gonna help Herlock Sholmes fix the deduction at least. So, let's get started. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. His death has nothing to do with me. The whole thing has nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, your aching heart smarts with pain. She does have a pain expression on her face. Yes, that's true. She looks as though Cosmo-sama's death is weighing heavily on her mind. But you're not sure Mr. Sholmes has read her quite correctly, is that it? Maybe some other way to interpret her expression then? Let's take a moment and really look at Miss Pavlova. She really does look troubled. Yes, it's hard to believe she's putting out that expression to fool us. If you look closely, it's almost like she's actually staring at something. And what do you think? Perhaps something physical causing her pain? We should have a closer look. What's that? Oh, Naruto-san, look! It looks like a very painful wound. It looks like a scratch made by some kind of small animal. Fairly recently, too. Whatever what scratcher doesn't appear to be around here. Left ear. She has such petite earrings among that beautiful, little pink shell. Oh, what's that? There's something dangling from her ear. Ah, that's an earring. The crescent moon part looks as though it's made from wood. It's charming, isn't it? Women do seem to love ornaments like that. In their hair, around their necks, on their fingers, and even hanging from their ears, it seems. Well, jewelry is beautiful, Naruto-san. Oh well, I guess we're gonna present the claw scratch. Yes, when you recall these horrid events, that claw scratch sparks with pain. Indeed, your simple observation reveals that the wound is fresh. Miss Pavlova, do you in fact receive that scratch? Sometime last night? Ah. When I think about the young man who died next door, I feel so sad. And when I am sad, the pain from this wound is worse. And it is that very pain that evidences your intricable link to the victim's death. So we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? Why, naturally, it was because it was a friend you were which boarded this vessel, was it not? Well, as I suspected, another telltale glance. Without a doubt, your friend was the right servant see before us. Nah. We gotta fix that part. Well, it seems likely that the scratch mark on the back of Miss Pavlova's hand was made by this friend of hers, doesn't it? Except, snakes don't have claws, do they? No, they don't. They don't even have hands or feet on which claws might grow. Well then, if that snake isn't her pet, what is? What's the true identity of this friend of hers? We should follow her gaze, Naruto-san. That's where we'll find our master. Huh? What's this? The more I look at this creature, the more its stripes stand out. It's a very impressive snake, isn't it? Oh yes, it really is. It seems to be doing its best to squeeze this poor sailor's head until it bursts. Yes, it's a terrifying sight and slightly heartwarming at the same time. Anyway, it would probably be a good idea to not get too close. There's no doubt, is there? She looked in this direction, straight at Seaman Stroganoff. Well, they do seem to be friends or sorts. Can I imagine he could possibly fit through that ventilator? But don't forget that! I managed to fit inside Cosmo's truck when we first boarded this ship. I would ask what that proves, but I think an equivocal little smile would be more effective. Teapot? I have a feeling that it was something this teapot Pavlova's eyes flickered over to before. I think this is the friend she's talking about. Well, we're all different, aren't we? Whatever you might say about if that's the way she feels. If a teapot's our friend, then fuck it. I don't think I'll say anything about it then. You and the teapot can discuss it instead. Wait, that's not what I meant. Wait, time out. That's not what I meant. Photograph frame. Ah, look at the photograph in this frame. This must be something Miss Pavlova brought with her when she ran away. She's exceptionally beautiful, isn't she? Yes, that's true, but personally, it's the little black creature she's holding that caught my eye. Maybe we better take a... Wait, is that a bell? No way. Is it... Must be a stage costume she's wearing. It's quite stunning. I should like to have something like that. She's wearing 20,000 rubles. On her head as well, look. It's called a tiara, Naruto-san. And you shouldn't think it purely in terms of its value. She must be a strong-willed woman to turn her back on the world stage and run away on her own. Little kitten. At the look at the little cat Miss Pavlova was cuddling here. Oh, what a cute little kitten. Could vie with you, couldn't it, Naruto-san, for the blackest outfit? A black kitten. And from the looks of this picture at least, Miss Pavlova seems very attached to it. Present. Without doubt, your friend is the little kitten we see before us. Yes, the scratch on the back of the hand makes that abundantly clear. Oh no. The whereabouts of this black kitten isn't clear, but what is clear is that you brought the animal with you when you ran away, didn't you? Ah. Darka is my best friend. I couldn't leave without her behind. Darka would be in your Russian blue. And yet, the fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observation on the night in question of a spectacled band mirrors regrettably. This specimen's markings do not fit the description in any way. Which explains that we then give prey. What was this sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? No, don't look at me, it has nothing to do with any of this. But it does, you have the answer to this quandary even now, even hidden behind your back. Yes, that which you are trying, but failing to conceal it. The snake just slouches. Nah. You see that? She just took something out of her pocket and hid it behind her back. She just left it out in her pocket, no one would ever have known. Oh yes, ploys like that are Mr. Schoen's specialty. He's ever so cleverly forced to reveal something. I thought deduction was his specialty, and maybe make me believe that was a ploy too. Anyway, I find it hard to believe the skin of a snake. In which case, just what is Miss Pavlova hiding behind her back? Well, it is speckled and it is a band. What is it? It seems to be soft and fluffy, a long piece of cloth of some sort. And it looks like a handle at one end. Thinking maybe a cat's toy. This sort is common in the West, apparently. How is that a toy for cats? Cats like to chase the band around and paw at it. Kids in particular love that sort of play. You only need to wave it from the front of them, and then pounce to catch it. Huh, that sounds positively adorable. Cat's toy. And I guess I'll present. Yes, the thing you are trying, but failing to conceal, is, a cat's toy. And precisely the true nature of the infamous speckled band. Ah. And it was this toy that you dangled through the ventilator. You waved it around, I presume. Naturally, the victim could not fail not to notice it. But why? But for what reason? My dear boy, that can only be one answer to that. After a feline friend disappeared through the ventilator in the neighboring cat, Miss Pavlova attempted to use the speckled cat toy to incite the creature to return. Ah. In summary, the nature of this friend of Miss Pavlova's, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a Blightham's Russian blue breed of cat by the name of Darka. Yeah. A truly troublesome feline. Young Darka is proving to be. She must be caged once found. You will forgive us for borrowing the photograph of your pet, Miss Pavlova. It was after I gave her food last night. Hold up, let me check something real quick. Yeah, this smell has something to do with it, of course. That's when it happened. She scratched the back of my hand, and then ran up the bell cord. Before I could do anything, she had disappeared through the ventilator. I'm surprised a cat can climb up these things. Darka, she is naughty. Conclusion. A beloved kitten. Solved. This, we gotta fix topic number 2. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data of which I've been apprised, it would appear there were no visible signs of injury. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. Nope. What Sholmes says it's true. There were no signs of a wound anywhere on Cosmo-sama's body. But Mr. Sholmes be unaware of one very important detail. Cosmo wasn't poisoned. Yes, it would seem so. Let's give him the information he's missing now. Autopsy report. Post-mortem report. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by the post-mortem report. Ah yes, I knew it was one or the other. His neck was... Indeed, the breaking of the cervical vertebrae is fatal. Only that Goliath would be strong enough to survive that. Seaman Stroganoff isn't some immortal freak, you know? The jury is out. Anyway, we have a good authority that the victim's neck was broken. Now if we take that as fact, we can just reasonably imagine that the remains of evidence are found at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be? Yes, an examination of the deceased's body will prove the cause of death conclusively. Actually, it's more... Cosmo died because his neck was broken. In other words, he was probably struck by something or someone. Yes, this is a distinct possibility. As of yet, no weapon has been found, though. Certainly Darka didn't silently creep up behind Cosmo and deal him a fatal blow. I suppose. possible he had to fall and hit the ground awkwardly. He fell down! Are we gonna assume he fell down? Could have been a terrible act of misfortune that he broke his neck completely by accident. How do you break your neck by accident? That's what I want to know. Oh yes, a bad fall could explain it. Rather hard to believe Cosmo summoned him. He wasn't a clumsy man. Well, we need to fix this deduction somehow. Is there anything from the scene that could explain what has happened? Maybe the mark on the floor? Yes, an examination of the mark on the floor will prove the cause of death conclusively. This particular mark is so prominently visible next to the victim's body is a deposit of shoe polish. Shoe polish? Indeed, positively identified the little analysis device I constructed, which carry on now as a matter of course. Beeswax, tallow, dye were my results, undeniable ingredients of shoe polish. And the color of the polish is a perfect match to the color of Mr. Sogi's lace leather shoes. Looking at this mark, it's not hard to imagine what happened. For some reason, Mr. Sogi must have caught his foot at that point and tripped. So we're really gonna assume he tripped and broke his neck. That's his cause of death. Wow. I can't believe that's his cause of death. Please, no. And by a dreadful turn of misfortune caught his neck against some immovable object as he fell to the floor. Suffering a fatal blow to the spine, the victim's vertebrae shattered. In that instant, he lost his life. No! I don't know. I don't know anything about this. Is that really true, Miss Pavlova? What about the evidence left at the scene where Mr. Sogi lost his life? Yes, the facts are as clear as day to me. You did all you could to conceal the incriminating evidence. And now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victims in that traveling case. I don't believe it. Cosmo Summer merely tripped over and now he's no more? It can't be true, I refuse to accept it. I know it's hard to believe, but the mark on the floor does seem to suggest that's what happened. But if this part of Mr. Sholmes' deduction is right, Miss Pavlova is trying to hide some evidence that would prove it. Here in this cabin, somewhere in the direction that she cast her eyes. Where, I wonder? Have a good look around, and the answer must be somewhere. This is where Miss Pavlova hid her friend. And it wasn't a snake after all. No, it was that little kitten she calls Dark, and now it's anywhere to be seen. It seems to have let itself out of the case and gone exploring. I expect it's wrapped itself around someone's head somewhere and trying to make a new friend. Either that or it's scratching their hand to pieces. Point is, where has it got to? The semi appears to have dropped us 20,000 rubles here. It has been dropped now, Rosa. It's been placed. I'm starting to sound like Mr. Sholmes. Stop trying to sound like the great detective. Waste paper basket. This is a waste paper basket. Perhaps it's all first-class cabins have them. Miss Pavlova only started occupying this cabin late last night, presuming there's not much rubbish in there yet. What? When did that appear? This wasn't there last time. Oh, what's that? It's a broken piece of glass, isn't it? Yes, it is, and I feel I've seen it somewhere before. It looks familiar. Perhaps it's more to your mind than playing tricks on you. Alright, find it. Present it then. How come we didn't find it the first time? Unless she put it there. That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that waste paper basket. Huh. And here we have a fragment of some intricate glass object, it would seem. One has a familiar air, in fact. Precisely, we found another piece of broken glass on the floor of Mr. Sogi's cabin. And as you can see, the two pieces fit together perfectly. Oh no! So, Miss Pavlova, shall we consider what this tells us? Why would it be that the part of the glass object which inevitably broke at the scene of the victim's death should be found in the waste paper basket in your cabin? Ah. You're well agreeing with this glass spell, are you not? I don't know, in that Russian accent of yours won't save you this time, dear girl. Why? Because we have conclusive evidence linking you to the bell in question. What? Take it away, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes. The evidence linking to Miss Pavlova and the little glass spell, that would be... the photo. If you look at this photograph, you can clearly see, hanging from Darka's collar, the very glass spell in question. The truth has caught up with you, Miss Pavlova. The young man who lost his life last night did so after a truly inauspicious fall. And the cause of that fateful stumble your absent feline friend Darka. Got her all her life points down the drain. I couldn't tell anyone. Sorry. Death, new conclusion. Death by tripping over a cat. Solved. Deduction complete. It's elementary, my boy. Damn, this is such a fun case. Even though, like, the cause of death was very dumb. Why don't you tell us now, Miss Pavlova? Tell us exactly what happened last night. It was a little after 1 in the morning. It was so late, but I hadn't had time to feed Darka, so I gave her some food. And then, all of a sudden, she scratched me and jumped out of my hands. People do say that cats become anxious and nervous in new environments. She was so fast, she disappeared through the ventilator before I could stop her. And that is how you acquired the rather nasty wound on the back of your hand, I take it. Yes. And I had read, the rules on the wall, and I knew that I was not allowed Darka with me. Yes, modern science suggests that animals can carry infectious diseases. It's a precaution, really. So I listened and listened, trying to hear if there was some noise in the next cabin. It was very quiet. I was sure if someone was there, he must be sleeping. So at that point, you thought it was safe to try to lure the kitten back again. By dangling the end of the toy through the ventilator in the adjoining cabin. Darka always loves this toy, but it didn't work, but nothing worked. I tried using her favorite toy, but I tried whistling to her softly, but nothing. She didn't return. So the faint whistling sound Cosmo wrote about in his diary was Miss Pavlova trying to retrieve her pet. Cats have a proper propensity to remain hidden in the shadows when frightened. Yes, so there was nothing else I could do. I just had to wait until she calmed down. But then... What the... I nearly passed out with shock. I heard her cry out, and then... It was such a dreadful bang. Then afterwards, nothing. It was totally silent. Cosmo was... From the appearance of the brown mark on the floor, it seems like likely what you heard was the victim stepping on the glass spell and tripping. Yes, the spear is a large vessel, but she can pitch and roll violently without warning. Mr. Sogi was already off out of the balance as a result of the ship lurching when the kitten got under his feet. A combination of unfortunate factors could easily cause him to fall over. But what became of the kitten afterwards? Where is the cat? In the end, I managed to get her to come back through the ventilator. Yet Darka is nowhere to be seen. I must have forgotten to lock my case. Now she's disappeared again. Gracious, that cat is as insufferably restless as I am. Well, he knows something about himself at least. When I woke this morning, I heard that a young man in the cabin next to mine had died. And I couldn't bring myself to tell anyone what had happened. I was just scared. Scared that they would send me back. Oh, hold on a minute. What about the snake? You're right, where is it? The snake isn't your friend, Miss Pavlova. Whose is it? Where did it come from? What on earth is this dangerous creature doing on board the ship? Oh, I didn't say. Snake is my friend. His name is Pirosko. What? What? That snake belongs to you? Hold up a second. Alright, we're back. Sorry, I had to go to the bathroom. Anyways. He escaped from cage when emergency alarm sounded. I was looking for him. I did not expect to find him here. Yes, how did that get into the this cabin? But animals are not permitted on board. Huh, we are at sea for 1 year. You want to be so long without close friend, without someone who understands? Couldn't you find someone a little more human who understands you better? But my dear burly fellow, a gargantuan venomous snake? Surely you can appreciate the danger you're putting everyone in. No venom. Pulotsko does not have venom. He is harmless, very long but very gentle. He is adorable like Granny. It's venomless. Yes, now he is hungry. Now he is in bad mood. But once I feed him, you will see big smile. And you feed him what? Milk, I suppose? Huh, like they say, they milk chickens? Ridiculous. Snakes that drink milk are only stupid stories. Prolotsko eats mouses, big fat round mouses. So, is that what the mouse trap in the passageway out there is for? Of course! How else can I catch friend's favorite food? Nothing says top the food chain like look in their eyes right now. Something is wrong though. He refuses to drink milk. Can't hear a whistle. Can't climb up a bell cord. It's not even venomous. How did the deuce did something so inept land a starring role? It is not my fault. I do not make up stories. My protocol has nothing to do with this incident. So that's what happened. That's the truth behind my best friend's tragic death. He just tripped and broke his neck. Even I don't realize. I actually don't like how he died. He literally tripped and he broke his neck because of a goddamn cat. Miss Pavlova. I understand the difficult situation you found yourself in, and I do sympathize. But please remember this. A young man lost his life. If you're going to attempt to cover up your guilt with lies, then no matter what the circumstances, I cannot forgive you. But, what are you talking about, Miss Mikotoba? What lies? Miss Pavlova just confessed to everything. It was just a series of unfortunate events, an accident. Was it really more to that? There's some trap we've been led to, and I feel like we have to fix it. I'm no great detective like Mr. Sholmes. I don't have a gift for knowing the truth. But even I can see that that was not the truth. Don't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? To be perfectly honest, yes. There's a discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure, but I just can't quite put my finger on it. I confess, I was intending to let Scotland Yard deal with any outstanding issues on this matter. Oh? I am only present here for a very specific reason. The truth is, you, Mr. Naruhodo, are simply a distraction. A distraction? I do hope you're not finding your shackles too uncomfortable. Not again. When did he do that? Especially if they're on your wrists as a result of my intervention. I was rather hoping I could resolve matters before we make our next port call. You were, Mr. Sholmes? Yes, but I overlooked one very important detail. The deceased young man was a very close companion of yours. Was he not? Yes. Kazuma was my closest friend. I owe him my freedom, even. In that case, we must follow to its conclusion. No further distractions. You must uncover the real truth here, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, whatever that may be. The key to this is the discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure. I can chase that down, maybe the truth will become clear. The truth about how you really died. About how that scene in your cabin really came to be. Alright, I'll see what I can do. Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo. So then, shall we begin? Yes. What should we ponder first? As the victim who lost his life in a cabin that was bolted shut from the inside, was this truly an unfortunate accident? Or was it in fact no accident at all? That's what we must establish. Yeah, if he broke his neck, there's no way he would have write this. But we already established it, haven't we? The man tripped over the kitten and had climbed into his cabin via the ventilator. Tragic, yes, but still an accident. Wait, let's just take a step back. It doesn't make sense if that's what really happened, does it? I'm going to have to ask you to spell it out for me, I'm afraid. Yes, it's starting to take shape now. There's a clear contradiction between the facts and Miss Pavlova's story here. Evidence is right there in Cosmo's cabin. It's undeniable. This death couldn't possibly be a mere accident. But really? Let us show our hand, Mr. Naruhodo. Time to present the evidence. The evidence that proves unequivocally the victim's death was no mere accident. The truth is clearly recorded in this photographic print. Yeah, there's no way he would have write that. If he broke his neck, that means he wouldn't be able to write this. There's no way that Mr. Usogi could have left this message on the floor. That script, it's Russian, isn't it? Indeed, it is. The word written means wardrobe. I see what you mean. Most people would leave a dying message in their native language, Japanese in this case. But maybe he was studying Russian. His simple language, he could have picked it up very fast. That doesn't seem likely. That actually is not the point. It makes no difference whether he knew Russian or not. Sorry? What do you mean? Exactly what I said before. There is no way that Mr. Usogi could have left this message on the floor. And the reason why is clearly explained in here. damage to the cervical vertebrae resulting in instant death. Instant death. Ugh. Which means, after the victim fell to the floor, he couldn't have possibly written anything, because he was already dead. That's not the only reason either. There's something else we found in Mr. Sogi's cabin. A remnant of something that couldn't possibly have been there, of what Miss Pablo was told. What? So Susada-san has noticed it too, then. Pointing this message on the floor aside, there's something else that gives the truth away. Huh. This? What point is there trying to make with that evidence? I'm starting to see how causes it really happened, I think. I think that you are starting to see nothing of the sort, and that was the evidence to prove it. Yuck, my life points. Ugh. Either the absence of something you would expect to find at the scene of an accident, or the presence of something you wouldn't. Most companions put, my dear madam. Ah, I see. I confess you're rather languid, I see. Doesn't fill me with confidence, Mr. Naru. Oh, Miss Naru, I believe in you, well, more than Mr. Shom does, anyway. I guess it's not the... Cosmo's diary. Or is it? Oh, it's that thing. This piece of broken glass was next to the mark on the floor. And yet we still found... Yeah, for some odd reason, we found the piece in the garbage can. But that's the glass belt kitten around his neck. We all know about it. It was broken in half when the victim tripped over the can and fell. We already established a satisfying explanation. What's the flaw in that logic? Unfortunately, there's a very big flaw. A fatal flaw. What? If that's what really happened, then how did one half of the belt end up back here in this cabin? Yes, remember when we found the other half of the glass in that waste paper basket? Would you care to explain that, Miss Pavlova? Oh no. Both these pieces of evidence clearly point to the same conclusion. That's when Mr. Sogi died last night in his cabin. There was someone else in that room. And that same person deliberately arranged the scene to disguise the truth, in order to cover up his or her own guilt. Ah! Yes, there was someone else in the present, Mr. Sogi. You were wasting time. Someone was there? Duh, of course we know this. What are you talking about? Bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. There was no way in or out. Oh, yes. And only other person in cabin when young student died was you. It's true, I was in the cabin when it happened. Are you really still pinning the crime on me when I clearly didn't do it? You were shut inside the cabin wardrobe, to be precise about the details. But I don't know Russian. There's no way I would have left that message. Not would have. There's no way you could have left that message, to be precise about the details. Would you mind? Forgive me, my dear fellow. As I was saying, the person in question wrote that word wardrobe in the Russian on the floor in an attempt to incriminate me for the crime, even though I had been sleeping there the entire time. And then, the same person pick up the broken glass spell and fall into the floor. The fear of it becoming evidence that would show how Mr. Sogi really died. But why wouldn't this person have taken all the pieces of the bell away? Leaving half behind was always gonna raise questions. Yes, well, it was past 1 o'clock in the early hours of the morning. The cabin would have been quite dark. The single small lamp suspended from the ceiling would have barely cast any light on the floor there. Little wonder then that the culprit failed to notice the fragment of the tiny item. You all suspect me, don't you? Seaman Stroganoff.
Nina is woman of sea. She is daughter of strong sailor. 2 years ago, they noticed her dancing skills. She went away to join ballet company. But before, she was dancer on the ship, a member of ship's band. You do not accuse ship's angel from being criminal.
Oh, so that's it.
You say that his young student died. Nina was there in his cabin. That is not possible. I give my tooth.
Well, this is almost interesting. And why would you give your tooth, pray? How can you be so sure?
You are a great detective. You should know. Look truth in the eyes. Cabin bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. Nobody could go into cabin. Not Nina, not anyone. Or you want to tell me that killer can walk through locked doors? Yeah, it's impossible.
Yeah, he's right. But wait, I've read about this in detective stories. People often tie thread around the door latches so they can open and close them from the outside.
Thread? Are you stupid? These bulkheads are not barn doors.
Certainly not. These are water-like doors as one would find on any modern starship. Constructed in every steel, not with a gap inside, no threads or needles or magnets could have been used. No, of course. It probably moved by itself. Because of a certain, stop, maybe. Salsa, how can you shift it onto me like that? So Seaman Stroganoff has a valid point. Cabin door could have been bolted shut from the outside. Not necessarily. What? I put it to you that I could bolt this cabin door without laying a finger on it. And in this very cabin, we can see the traces of the method I have in mind being used before. I don't believe it. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, I believe you know what I mean, don't you? I'll wait to shut the bolt from the cabin door from the outside. One day does spring to mind, yes. Do you really know what it is, Mr. Sholmes mean, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, and so should you, because we've seen it happen. Indeed we have, so would you care to do the honors, Mr. Naruhodo? Point out the telling signs the method was used to slide the cabin door across the outside. Look at the bookcase there. See all those books and things have toppled over? That must have happened when the ship made its emergency stop before. Yes, that's right. It's a very powerful vessel after all. When the engines are thrown into reverse, a violent jolt goes across the entire ship. Any small objects that aren't fastened down are bound to fall over. I believe, yes, that's what's known as the force of inertia, acting on the objects. Is there nothing Susada-san doesn't know? Or that isn't in her book at least? Well, whatever it's called, the same force that pushed over those books on the bookcase also made something else in this cabin move. The bolt on the cabin door. It was very obvious just after the emergency stop that the ship made earlier that we had come to this cabin not long before, but we hadn't bolted the door. But then...
Hello, was anybody in there? Shout if you need assistance.
Oh, that sounds like... Inspector Hosanaga. Oh yes! That's it! When the ship stopped suddenly, the boat flew across from the locked door. Yes, it's made of metal, and it's small and light enough to be moved by the ship's sudden change of speed, or the force of inertia, if you want to call it that. Are you trying to say that last night, after Mr. Sogi was killed, ship moved and made an emergency stop and locked the door. That's how we created our lock room. Yes, Asperia made another emergency stop? When I woke up this morning and looked around the cabin, I thought it looked a little odd. All the books on the shelves had toppled over, and all the ornaments. It was almost as if someone had run their hand across the shelves and deliberately knocked everything over. Oh yes, I remember that. And I stood them all up again, didn't I? And then we came into this cabin. We were surprised to see the same thing in here. All the books and everything had toppled over, just like in Mrs. Sogi's cabin. Oh my. Do you have anything to say about this, Miss Pavlova?
Are you out of your mind? You say Burya made emergency stop.
It does seem a little far-fetched. How can that possibly have happened? Especially saying that the culprit is actually someone from the engine room. Oh, it's simple enough. Are you forgetting that the button in the passageway outside? Is that it, Jared? You used to trigger the emergency alarm? Oh yes, of course. There was notice, wasn't there, telling you to only press the button in times of emergency. On dark nights when the fog is dense, the captain cannot afford to rely on the eyes of the lookout alone. Hence the placement of the number of buttons around the vessel to allow any crewman to raise the alarm. The sort of the button. One is almost compared to press to satisfying one's curiosity. He's hiding something.
Wait, it was you?
When the button is pressed, two things happen in the interest of safety. The emergency alarm bell rings and the vessel comes to a complete stop. As indeed it was earlier today. You're the one who pressed the button. Mr. Sholmes, surely it wasn't you who... As I always say, a button has but one purpose in life. To be pressed, whatever the occasion. So if we see a self-destruct button, you have the urge to press it while we all die. To be fair, I would also press it, to be honest. He sounds almost proud of me.
How dare you mess with ship? I report you to captain. You are in much trouble now.
Now, I'm sure that all can wait until later. Let us not overlook the fact that we have now learned a valuable lesson. When the vessel makes an emergency stop, the bolts on the cabin doors slide closed. So, what we must now consider... Yes, it all comes down to one thing now. Last night after what happened to Mrs. Sogi, did the ship make an emergency stop?
You are idiots! Bringing us huge ship with many passengers. If we make emergency stop even middle of night, there will be chaos everywhere.
What are your thoughts, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, it's certainly possible that some kind of emergency happened last night. We have evidence to support that idea. Really? What evidence, Mr. Naruhodo? Fascinating. Do show us, my good man. What evidence promotes the theory that some emergency gripped this vessel last night? Think it's the ship's log. Seaman Stroganoff, it is your duty to patrol the first-class area of the ship, isn't that right?
That is correct. Why?
And the ship's log here, this would be where you record the details of your duties.
What are you doing with that? That is mine.
So you rather carelessly left it atop that little makeshift bureau in the passageway out there. But as responsible passengers, we took it as our care to remind and return to you later.
I left it there on purpose. It is where I always put it.
The point is, looking at what you usually record, it's clear that under normal circumstances, you write the phrase nothing to report every 30 minutes. But from 2 o'clock last night until the first light this morning, there's nothing recorded at all. Nothing recorded in the log.
That is... because nothing happened.
But if nothing happened, you would normally write nothing to report, wouldn't you?
Good.
Indeed so, which tells us shortly after 2 p.m. something happened. Here aboard the SS Buria. Something sufficiently significant to make you forget to fill the ship's log, in fact. Are you suggesting The ship really did make an emergency stop in the middle of the night?
Stop talking rubbish!
If I'm perfectly honest, I find that a little hard to believe myself. Oh? Why? Well, because if something as major as an emergency really had happened, sure you all of us would have noticed. That's very true. Thanks to an emergency stop we experienced earlier, we all know what it feels like now. The ship slurred so violently, and the alarm bell was so loud. I can't imagine that anyone would sleep through that, even if it happened in the dead of night. Well, no, that's a good point. What up? What up the throbbing? Sorry, what do you mean? Your head, your man. The throbbing of your head since this morning. We have all suffered with it. Huh. Oh yes, I have had a headache, you're right. In fact, I haven't been feeling myself since I woke up today. Nor have I. My head has been feeling heavy ever since dawn. Yes, you've all been afflicted, haven't you? Just as I suspected. He's right, my head's been throbbing today, too. And since eating dinner yesterday evening, everything felt sort of hazy. I can't really remember anything that happened after I climbed back inside the wardrobe. Then the first thing I noticed this morning was the throbbing pain in my head. I had already been dragged out of the wardrobe and had those handcuffs put on me by that point. Why didn't I wake up when all that was happening to me? Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo, you boarded this vessel as a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, well, yes, sorry. The stowaway class of accommodation doesn't usually include meals. What did you survive on? Oh, well, Cosmo looked after me. He was after to share his meal. So you enjoyed some of the whole roast chicken dish that was served yesterday evening, I take it? Yes, in fact. Had all of that. Cosmo wasn't fond of chicken. Oh, really? So the victim didn't eat any of the chicken at all? That's right, he didn't touch it. Is that relevant? I think the chicken was drugged, wasn't it? My dear fellow, does that not strike you? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, do you mean to say that there was something wrong with the chicken? I do. No, really? Is that really true? The meal prepared for the passengers last night had been tampered with. Tampered with by the addition of a sulfuric designed to induce a very deep slumber to those who consumed it. A sleeping drug. Do you mean whoever did this laced every move with a sleeping drug so no one would notice the ship's emergency stop? Mr. Naruhodo, of course that's not what Mr. Sholmes mean. What a far-fetched idea. Precisely. Lacing every meal of the passenger on every boat with a sulfuric drug would be certain to be impossible. Unless, that is, every single member of the crew was a conspirator. What? Mr. Sholmes? Well, seaman? I'm sorry to say that any more deception in this matter will get you nowhere. What are you hiding? Tell us the truth! If you refuse to talk, there would have been an inquiry made through the shipping company, of course. And were that to happen, every member of the crew and the captain himself would be hauled over the coals for aiding and abetting a renegade. Renegade? Please, goddamn, tell us the truth. Please, no more. I will tell everything. I cannot make problems like this for everyone anymore. These crewmen are your former comrades, I believe. Yes, so when I decided to run away, I asked him to help me.
We all agreed to help, everyone together. She threw away everything, her fame in the ballet. Mother Russia, we wanted to help our angel.
I don't believe it.
You are right. We put sleeping drug in chicken last night.
everyone's a conspirator? Seriously? Yes, I remember now. I did notice chewing on a lump of something strange and bitter at one point.
We could not make all drug, how do you say, dissolve.
Talk about heavy seasoning.
At midnight, in waters near Shanghai, we brought our angel on board. She was helped by comrade on shore with small fishing boat.
Well, all the passengers of the SS Beer slept soundly. Thanks to almost the magical effects of the summer-inducing potion their meals had contained. So if that's what happened, the only people awake on the ship last night were the crew, people who disliked chicken, and the newly boarded passenger, Miss Pavlova. And that means it would have been impossible for you. You could have used the emergency stuff to lock the cabin door. But how does that make sense? Surely every cabin door would have ended up locked in that case. There would have been complete chaos. Oh, but I wouldn't say so. What? Of course. Just like us, all the other passengers would have eaten their evening meal of chicken in their cabins, which they would have been overwhelmed by tiredness because of their sleeping drug. Quite. And accordingly, all passengers were already left in their cabins that night. Yes. Rolling majority of the passengers would have habitually sleep in their cabin doors bolted away anyway. So not one of them would have been found remarkable to find a door locked in the morning. In summary, in order to fasten the bolt of a single cabin door on the ship, the culprit brought the entire vessel to emergency stop in the early hours of the morning. Yeah. Guilty.
You have talked long time and said many things. What is point?
The point is what I said earlier. There is somebody else present on the scene when the victim lost his life last night. Someone who left a message in Russian on the floor in an attempt to incriminate another. Someone who tried to desperately hide the broken fragments of glass that would reveal the culprit's identity. And that someone who abused the ship's emergency stop procedure in order to lock a door. All told, a busy night. But... I don't know anything about this. I'm just a little girl.
You like to speak with your long English words and explain your clever ideas. I am sailor, and sailors don't listen too long to boring stories we don't believe. Sailors like me, we trust what we see with our own eyes.
A laudable trait.
What?
I'm quite of the same disposition, my good man. Observation to me is everything. Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, yes. Do you hear it? The accusatory cry of guilt on the wind. What about accusatory cry of guilt? Sorry, you've lost me. Proof of involvement, man. You can't hear such a call with your ears. No, you must hear with your eyes, for observation is the basis of all deduction.
What are you talking about?
I believe the time has come. For one final logic and reasoning spectacular, to expose the truth. Another deduction? So, Mr. Naruhodo, your assistance, if you please. With what exactly, Mr. Sholmes? Was the observation, my dear fellow, just as I said, of these two provocators' observation. Mr. Naruhodo, we know that somebody tried to fabricate evidence, don't we? Tampering with the scene of Mr. Sogi's death. What we're looking for is some trace of evidence that one of the two was there when it happened. Precisely, you're delightfully quick to grasp my meaning. Alright, I'll see what I can see. We're looking for trace of evidence that shows someone else was there last time when Cosma died. Huh? What is that? He has arms like tree trunks, doesn't he? Hairy tree trunk. Yes, he certainly has sailor's arms. He's born of a man of the sea. If I had been awake, I couldn't have done anything about being dragged out of that wardrobe by this man. Naruhodo-san? Are you alright? You seem to be lost in thought. Oh, sorry. Blame those hairy tree trunks. What is this? Ink stain? Oh, look at this. Some kind of stain in an unusual place. Yes, you're right. It looks ink if I'm not mistaken. Ink. And look at the color too. It's clear where this came from. Alright, I guess we're presenting this. Seaman Stroganoff. You seem to have a large purple stain on the back of your whole white uniform there.
Yeah. Oh yes, I don't know where that dirt comes from.
So nothing in particular comes to mind about the stain?
What are you trying to say?
It would appear that the significance of the stain has escaped your attention, Seaman. Allow us to make it plain. It's a very large purple stain on the back of Seaman Stroganoff's uniform, and I think it is what made it clear. Indeed, it is. So, Mr. Naruhodo, present the evidence that proves it. My pleasure. Alright then, the evidence that proves the stain on Stroganoff's uniform really is... it's the ink, isn't it? Yes, it's this photograph, and the ink shows. It's what caused the stain on your uniform.
Ink.
A rather unusual color of pink-purple. Ugh. And the penny drops at last. You see the significance. The Russian word on the floor next to the victim's body was written in purple ink. And the stain on the back of your uniform is ink of the exact same color. Exact same color. Okay. The ink had been dry and couldn't have been possibly stained on your uniform in that way. Which means... you must have been present in the cabin in the moments immediately after the ink was split.
Alright, yes. It was me. I did it. Everything.
And now you tried to accuse me, you piece of shit.
I arranged everything in Dead Student's cabin to make it look like a wardrobe man did it. I pressed button to make Burrier do emergency stop and both cabin doors shut. I did everything so no one would suspect our angel.
Biff, please.
Don't worry, Angel. Let me do talking. It was after 1 in the morning. I was duty patrolling passageway. Then our angel came to me. She was white like sheet.
Biff, please, you must help me.
I went with her to cabin door number 1 was open. When I looked inside, I saw student boy on floor.
What happened here?
What happened here?
Please, don't tell anyone. My little one furry friend.
Everything that happened in cabin is like Angel told you.
The kittens escaped through the ventilator into Mr. Sogi's cabin. My bad, guys. And he tripped over it and broke his neck when he fell to the floor?
Yes, that is right.
So after the incident, when the cat ran away, Miss Pavlova visited the cabin next to hers, only to find his occupant lying lifeless on the floor.
She said she was worried when she heard sound of something falling on the floor. That's when she went to look. No angel. No angel? The door was not locked, so she opened to look in, and you already know what happened after.
There's just one thing, if you wouldn't mind.
What?
When you went to Mr. Sogi's cabin, Miss Pavlova, was he already dead? Why?
I already told you. When Nina opened door of student cabin and looked inside.
I was asking Miss Pavlova. Well, Miss Pavlova? Duh. Oh? Yes, that is right. I saw him. It was dark, and he was wearing black, but he was on the floor, not moving. I was scared. Something is wrong. I understand, and I believe you. So is that finally it now? Have we discovered the real truth about Cosmo's death at last? Ah, something nearly slipped my mind. Oh, Mr. Sholmes? This photograph. Yes, I took this myself, you know. The cause of death was a broken neck, therefore the victim died instantly. An unfortunate incident that precipitated these events, a kitten in which the victim stumbled. However, if those are the facts, there is only one particular area in this photograph that seems somewhat unnatural.
What do you mean unnatural?
What are your thoughts on this matter, Mr. Nar? Oh, well... Cosmo tripped and fell, and by some terrible stroke of bad luck broke his neck. Which part of his photograph print seems unnatural? It's the frickin'... This word in Russian clearly wasn't written by Cosmo, so if you're looking for something unnatural, that's the obvious point. Very true, it is certainly peculiar, but it's not what I meant by unnatural, I'm afraid. Her crass detail was orchestrated by the culprit. I mean to identify another point. Oh, I see. Imagine, if you will, losing your footing yourself. In my opinion, if you land as the victim appears to have done here, it would be most unnatural. I'm sure you reach the same conclusion. How thoughtful you are, Mr. Sholmes. Thank you for your gentlest guidance. Cosmo tripped and fell. By some terrible stroke broke his neck. Which part of this photograph seems unnatural? Is it really the hand? Must be here, surely. Allow me to offer you a piece of advice regarding the pursuit of detection, my dear fellow. We got it wrong. God dang it. When noticing a crucial point, it can be helpful to keep your eyes open. They were open. You may only be equipped to use them. Sorry, I'll try that. No, my life points, no! I think it's plain to what Mr. Sholmes means by unnatural. The word written in a foreign language underneath his fingertips, surely. That particular clash detail was orchestrated by the culprit. No, I mean to identify another point. Imagine if you were losing your footing yourself. You land on this victim has one of your hands. You look like the sort of fellow who stumbles with it regularly. This should be an easy task. Why do I? Maybe it is left hand, I think? Alright, if he really fell due to an unfortunate accident, then this fist just doesn't seem quite right. The exact same thought occurred to me. In a fall, one's instinct is to open the palms flat. Yet here we witness the victim with his left hand tightly balled into a fist, almost you might say, as though he were gripping something.
What do you mean?
Simply that I took the liberty of investigating the victim's fist a short while ago. You did? And what, pray, do you imagine I found there, my dear fellow? Mr. Sholmes, show us, please. Why, of course, my dear madam. Would I keep you in suspense? An earring. This is what I found. Oh, a crescent moon with a little gemstone in the middle? Yes, you're right. A crescent moon. It's very pretty. But what does it tell us?
It tell us nothing.
About that. I am not so sure. That crescent moon it looks familiar somehow. I'm sure I've seen it somewhere before. Observation, Mr. Naruto, that is the key. What? The troop is now tantalizingly close. Hey Jared, it's about to arrive soon. How did the crescent moon came to cut Must clench his fist? This is the final clue, the last piece of the puzzle. Jared, are you gonna get the door? Okay. Sorry guys. Ask yourself, what does this little crescent moon mean? What significance has it? I didn't observe. Find an answer with your own eyes. It's her earring, isn't it? He has arms like tree trunks, doesn't he? Hairy tree trunk, blah blah blah. It's poor man to see, but it's hard to see how they could be anything to do with that little crescent moon. Sometimes things are irrelevant in ways hard to imagine. Perhaps you should check? No, those are just tree trunks, nothing more. You should be looking somewhere elsewhere, I think. So he got this from the ink that was spilled on the floor. Yes, presumably when he was trying to arrange the crime scene to incriminate you. Do you see his face when I pointed it out before? He turned his color himself. He was so angry. He had really turned his color. I think he would have been ill, not angry. Well, I don't think this is relevant here. She has such potato earrings and beautiful hair, like little pink shells. Oh, what's that? There's something dangling from her ear. Yes, it's an earring. Wait, look, it's a crescent moon. Ah, be no doubt now, surely. She has such potato ears that have beautiful hair, like little blah blah. What's that? There's something attached to her ear. I expect that what's called an earring, but a little piece of jewelry. An earring, is it? It really is tiny. Perhaps part of it's missing, maybe it broke off. That's all that's left is a clasp that attached to the left ear. If that's the case, she doesn't appear to have noticed that it's broken. Miss Pavlova, I noticed that on your ear. Even though you have a metal earring, the decorative part seems to be missing. The little link holding it must have broken, I suppose. Eh? What? Well, looking at your other ear, I noticed a crescent moon. Ah.
I don't believe it.
Now, the missing crescent moon was found in the victim's clenched fists. Clearly, there's only one logical conclusion. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. Miss Pavlova, Mr. Soki must have grasped that crescent moon and pulled it from your ear. Perhaps it's just moments before he fell to the floor. Sure. Give me my prop. Sorry guys, I got McDonald's. Whoa, I got McDonald's! In other words, last night in Mr. Sogi's cabin, you witnessed the moment the victim fell with your own eyes. In fact, you were literally an arm's length from him. Jared, can you take this? Alright, now we're back. Then the question is, why did Mr. Sogi do that? Why did he pull your earring from your ear and hold it in his clenched fist during his final moments? Oh no.
Angel.
No one can protect you now. Please, Miss Pavlova, tell us the truth. Last night, what did you do to Kazuma? Yeah. Mind shatter. When I think about everything that happened yesterday, it was too much. running away the fishing boat in the middle of the night, trying to climb onto the huge ship. And then, when I was at last in this cabin, I could relax after this horrible long day. Darka, wait! I couldn't believe it when she disappeared through the ventilator. I tried to call her with a little whistle. I tried waving her favorite toy, but nothing worked. Darka would not come back. I assume Cosmo opened the door?
What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine.
A young man from your country, he was very polite and kind. He helped me find Darka, and he promised not to tell anyone. But then, when I had my friend in my arms again, I was going to leave the man's cabin.
Just a moment, sorry, but...
Oh, yes?
I'm sure I know your face. I've seen you somewhere before. Of course. You're Nikolina Pavlova, aren't you? The Russian ballerina.
Huh? No, I don't know that name. Heart nearly stopped when he said that. He knew who I was. How could this man from and far away east know a Russian ballerina?
Yes, I saw your performance in Japan. The beauty of the ballet deepened impression on me. But, what are you doing on this ship? I'm sure I read in your ballet company was performing in Shanghai at the moment.
I can't fool him. Just tell him the truth and hope he doesn't tell anyone and have no other choice.
I see. So you run away.
Please keep my secret. Don't tell anyone.
Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here.
He's going to pull that cord. He's going to tell the captain. Why did I think I could trust him? Then it happened. Everything at once. It was only a second, but it felt like forever. Wait, I shouted, and then... Darka jumped out of my arms and onto the young man's feet. And... as he turned around to look at me... Ooh! Damn, that is a terrible way to die. I pushed... You pushed him?! Wouldn't that... What? Okay, then you actually did murder him. I thought it was just a cat and he tripped, but you actually pushed him. Wow. Wow, that really implicates you. I don't even know why. Why did you push him? All you could have done was, like, literally not touch him, and yet you pushed him. I don't know why I did. I was just so scared. And I had to stop him from telling anyone about me. And that's when you went to fetch help from Seaman Stroganov, who was on duty in the passageway?
I heard Nina cry on the third floor, so I ran to her. He was standing at cabin door, shaking like a leaf, and looked at me and said,
"Help me, Biff. If they find out, I will be... Please, I have nowhere to go." So you decided to help. That's when you arranged things in Cosmo's cabin to make it look like I did it. So that no one would suspect the passenger in the cabin next door.
Yes, I went to cabin and looked around to make sure there was nothing to show Nina was there. Then I found Stowaway, in wardrobe, still sleeping.
Right, that's when he found me. So you worked out a plan to lay the blame on the Stowaway? Yeah, that's fucked up, yo.
I closed wardrobe though. doors and put strange paper sign.
This is the second time that Ryunosuke has been incriminated for a crime, which is very fucked up, man. Wait, I didn't see that. Lucky for me, the only reason Susada's son started to believe me was when I said I was innocent.
Split the red on floor. I wrote wardrobe. Blah blah blah. So that person who found him would look inside wardrobe and find stowaway.
And tell me, what of the glass bell? It was by my feet, so I picked it up. I see. But it was dark in the cabin. I didn't notice that the other half.
Then Angel went back to her cabin and I finished job.
By pressing the emergency alarm button in the passageway?
Yes.
Accordingly, the SS Burrier didn't come to a complete halt at little after 2 a.m., thus enticing the bolt on the cabin door to stride shut and creating the lock room mystery. There's still one thing I don't understand, Miss Pavlova. What? Well, you said you told Cosmo about the fact that you ran away from your homeland because you were worried he was going to tell the captain you pushed him. Isn't that right? Yes. But even if he had pulled the bell cord from the captain of the ship, aren't you friends with every member of the crew? Why would that have been a problem? It was what he said first that made me scared. What he said first? What are you doing at this time of night, Inspector? Yeah, you thought I was the inspector? He said an inspector was his friend. Ah, yes, meaning me, who was supposed to be acting as his bodyguard. Not that if the police knew about me, they would arrest me. Ah. So before you could pull the bell cord, May I stop you a moment, please, Miss Pavlova? It just doesn't seem to make sense. I mean, was Mr. Sogi really going to pull the bell cord? I don't know. What? What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, I'm not Cosma, so I can't know for certain. But he was a man of his word. If he told you he wouldn't give your secret away, then he wouldn't have done. No, he was walking over to it. He was going to pull the cord. He was going to make them send me back. Well, Mr. Naruhodo. Well, the day's work is not yet done, it seems. There's one more deduction to make. What? Another deduction? Yes, what action was the victim really about to take at that moment? Can we determine whither the young man's gaze was directed? First, consider the victim's location within his cabin. That's easy, I remember every detail of that room. I mean, yes, I spent quite a lot of time in the wardrobe, but still. That cabin has been my home for the entire voyage. Is this how the cabin looked last night when Miss Pavlova visited Cosmo-sama? Yes, it's exactly how it was. Are you ready then, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, if there's one thing I've learned today, it's that a simple gaze can reveal all manners of truths. Not only that, in order to draw the right conclusion, you can't afford to be out even by a little bit when you're following the gaze to where it lands. So when you turn away from Miss Pavlova, what exactly was Cosmo looking at? The bell cord. So Miss Pavlova thought I was just coldly ignoring her requests and going to pull the cord. But the Cosmo I knew never would have done something like that. No, I'm sure of it. The wardrobe? The wardrobe. My wardrobe. I was there in the time, of course, sleeping soundly, too soundly. If only I hadn't eaten that chicken that was laced with the sleeping drug. If only he woken me up. Then maybe this tragedy would have never happened. Wardrobe. Yeah, he was trying to check on me. Considering everything that happened last night, certainly may have looked as though Cosmo was going to ring the bell cord. Yes, however... what is there directly beside the bell cord? The wardrobe. Wardrobe? And more importantly, what was inside the wardrobe? The man's great friend, sleeping soundly. Miss Pavlova, please, think back very carefully. What were Mr. Sogi's exact words last night? Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here. Another opinion? Yes, but not from a member of the crew. No, Mr. Sogi intended to consult his close friend on the matter. To see if between them they might be able to help. In some way, no doubt. Oh no. Sadly, we can't know the truth for certain now. It's too late for that. But I wish you had made sure of what Mr. Sogi was looking at. Things may have ended very differently if you had. I want to thank you for finally admitting the truth, but unfortunately, the truth is, a man lost his life because of what you did, and that will never change. I hope you'll never forget that. I'm sorry. Really. I'm so sorry. What have I done? And so, at long last, the mystery surrounding the tragic accident on the SS Buria was finally laid to rest. "7:14 p.m. First, yep. What will happen to Miss Pavlova now then? Once we reach the Great Britain, she'll be handed over to the British police at Scotland Yard. What, the fact that she ran away from Russia? Won't the Russians try to repatriate her? So really did arrest her. Apparently the English detective can speak to the immigration office to sort all that out. Mr. Sholmes can do that? So she won't be going back to Russia then? No, but I don't think so. If she wanted to return to the future, I doubt she would be able to. She ran away, so now she's in exile for life. I see. I'm sorry. Seaman Stroganoff? I wanted to help our angel, no matter what. But I didn't think about you. About how you lost good friend. I will go with Nina. I will give myself to the police. It's kind of you. In the meantime, thank you for letting me go free again. Cosmo's death feels like a waste, but... well, you do what you can for Miss Pavlova, won't you? Duh. Well, I'm afraid you need to pack now. We're due to arrive in Hong Kong tomorrow. As much as it pains me, I'm going to have to hand you to the consul to arrange your passage back to Japan. Yes, I did stow away after all. I couldn't really expect any different. So, you should get back to your own cabin now. Looks like my study tour to Great Britain is over before it's even begun then. Why can't we just go to Great Britain? Follow in Cosmo's footsteps now that he's dead. Like, if Cosmo is dead, then probably we could do this. Do it in place for him. Thinking only days ago, Cosmo and I were laughing together of how we tear the streets of London. That seems like a distant memory now. Hey Jay, how's your chicken? Oh, what's that? Is it someone weeping? Susato. Susato-san? Naruhodo-san, I didn't know you had returned. Oh, well, I haven't been back long. Spectral Sanagi just told me I should pack, you know, ready to leave the ship tomorrow and all that. It's that look in her eyes. I still can't believe this has happened. I can't believe someone's life can be over. Just like that. Susato-san. He had such grand ideas to visit Great Britain. So many dreams. Now they've been cruelly taken away. Just as he has. Thought I could never forgive the person responsible, but now... And now we know the truth. That was just an accident. A silly series of mishaps. It's too much, Naruto-san. It's just too much. Yes, I know. I wish there was something I could say. Inspector, my duty was to see Asogi-san safely to Great Britain, but I failed, and caused his two closest friends great pain and suffering as a result. I let everyone down. And I will do anything to make up for the terrible blunder. Nobody blames you, Inspector. I'm free again now. Huh? God dang it! Surprise, Mr. Naruhodo? What is the meaning of this? Oh, a trifling matter. Something that in my head, I think I should always picture you wearing those shackles. Without them, the balance seems all wrong. It's distracting. Sorry? So I decided to restore it for old time's sake, shall we? You are a stowaway after all. He thinks this is funny. Mr. Sholmes, we do appreciate all your assistance. I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Not at all, not at all. Though it's a little late, may I offer my sincere condolences? Loss of your companion is truly heartrending. Hope that you'll be able to fulfill some of his aspirations in his honor. I'm afraid that won't be possible. We shall be disembarking in the next port in Hong Kong. You have to return to Japan to make a full report about everything that's happened. What? Wait a minute. It's just me has to go back, isn't it? I mean, I was the stowaway. Terms of this study tour were negotiated by the Department of Justice, both Great Japan and Britain. It was to be one lawyer and one assistant. Was to be. In the light of Mr. Sogi's unfortunate death, I'm afraid the study tour can no longer go ahead. No, I don't care for me, but... Poor Susato-san. My dear fellows, the majority of problems have an extremely simple solution, you know. Why don't I be a lawyer? All you require is one lawyer, and the study tour can continue, surely. But there is no one else with the necessary qualifications, Mr. Sholmes. We all know that no other lawyer... Qualifications, you say? Any of the qualifications obtained by your own country will be of little value to Great Britain, I'm afraid. Oh, but... Anyways, the voyage to London still promises a good month of time. Ample opportunity, I would say. Find yourselves another suitable lawyer. Yes. Say me. I will be the lawyer. Miss Susato. Yes? Do you think perhaps I might be able to do it? Let's do this, boys! I will be the lawyer! Ah, but you're not a lawyer, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, unless... Are you studying law? No, I'm not, but... I'm sorry. In that case, I don't think there's even a chance it could work. But as I said, there is still more than a month before we reach England's shores. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I have a month in which to study, which will learn why I must become a lawyer in Great Britain. Mr. Naruhodo, that's ridiculous. Are you seriously suggesting anybody can learn all that in just 40 days? There's only one way to find out. I would work my fingers to the bone, Inspector, every single day. Will you let me try? And if by the time we reach Great Britain I haven't learned enough to be recognized as a lawyer, I'll take whatever punishment is deemed appropriate. But why would you put yourself in a difficult position? Just for Kazuma. He said that there was something he had to do in Great Britain, and that he would sacrifice anything to make that happen. He's passionate about it. I can't let all that passion go to waste. And anyways, for my own benefit too. I will become a lawyer. I have to. What do you say, Miss Susato? Makes her very... Yay! I think it's a wonderful idea. Thank you. So, what does our bespectacled inspector friend say? Are you serious? One lawyer and one assistant. The numbers are indisputable. No, it's madness. Yet fascinating, wouldn't you agree? Fascinating. Duty and rules are dull routine in existence we all abhor. Give us interest, give us fascination. Speak for yourself. Besides, qualifications are no measure of a man. What matters is his character, no? And yet you witness ample evidence of this man's exemplary character today with your own eyes, from the early hours of this morning until this very moment now. Despite contending with the passing of his close companion, despite the accusation of guilt, this man has shown resourcefulness, intelligence, and above all, courage. Very well. I'll think about a clever way to report my work to the department just Inspector. After all, I did just make a promise, didn't I? I said that I'd do anything at all to make up for my shortcomings here. Oh, thank you, Inspector. If you excuse me, I must pay a visit to the captain's quarters, I think. Need to discuss what to do next and how to best make my report. Are you really prepared to attempt this, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I'm going to try. I wonder, will you consider teaching me what I need to know? Everything about being a lawyer. I would be delighted to help you. I am a judicial assistant after all. Thank you. Hey, Mr. Naruhodo? I'd like for you to take charge of this. What? Me? Are you sure? That's his sword, isn't it? Sure, it's what Kazuma-sama would have wanted. Name is Karuma. It's a great sword from the Sogi can generate Karuma. Very well, I accept. I'll treasure it. It always. So then, Miss Susato. Seems we'll be working together for some time to come yet. It'll be an honor, Mr. Naruhodo. And for the next 40 days, I shall grant you a single minute of freedom to fill every spare moment with study. Yes, that's exactly what I need. Before we begin, I have an earnest favor to ask of you, too. Goodness, what is it? Please throw me to the ground. 3 times. What do you mean by that? I can't possibly physically touch you. What? I should have never doubted you. You were Kazuma-sama's closest friend. And of course you would never have done anything to hurt him. that should have been obvious from me to the start. But I always allowed suspicion to get the better of me. No matter how upset I was feeling, it was a completely unforgivable behavior. No, you were in shock. You just found out me stowing away and the cabin door locked me in. No, I won't let you make excuses for me. Whatever the circumstances, I should have never thrown you. Not just once, but 5 times. Huh. That number keeps creeping up, doesn't it? Please, if you must, just take hold of me and throw me. Do it. Don't even think about it. Wait. I need, I'm not going to jail, am I? No? No. I don't even know how. I never even thrown anyone. Very wise, Mr. Naru. It's a skill one acquires without considerable training. Oh, Mr. Sholmes. I observed your throwing technique several times with great interest. I confess I was most impressed. When did he see that? I presume that would be form of Japanese wrestling. What the Well, in a way, it's not wrestling, but my own interpretation of an ancient jujutsu technique. Apparently it's called the Susato Takedown. It leaves your head swimming, believe me. It leaves your head swimming, believe me. Oh, beculing. I'm a practitioner of the combative arts myself. I'm so much accomplished boxer. Is that why you're doing this stupid boxing moving pose? Boof, boof, boof. There he goes, dancing around again. Wonder if you'd be so kind to instruct me on the technique of your wrestling throw. Yes, I'd be honored. Then let us not demonstrate, my dear madam. Oh, of course. Are you ready, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry? Yeah! Ah, god dang it. As you can see, you can throw from the abdomen. Oh yes, arresting indeed. And that is what you term the Susato Takedown, is it? Actually, no. That was a Susato Squash! What? You can't just make things up. I thought this is the same move. My groggy state of consciousness. A scene from the evening recently spent with Cosma flickered into my mind. Karuma. That's right. These are prized swords that have been passed down through generations of the Sogi clan. I can't believe you managed to get permission to bring it with you. I mean, taking a katana on the study tour was more than a little irregular, surely. A Japanese man's word is his soul, Ryunosuke. Can't be parted from my katana. Karma guides me. It truly believes that. So its name compels the wielder to slice evil in two, not that you would need much compelling. On that subject, there's something very important that I'm to do in Great Britain. I'll sacrifice anything to make it happen. I appreciate you seeing it through with me. Of course I will. Whatever it is, I'll see it through to the end with you. I knew you would let me down. That important thing he had to do, I still don't know what that was. I'm going to see the place for myself and work it out. In great capital London. Alright, I think this is the perfect time to save. Damn, we made a lot of progress today. So yeah, next time on Grace Ace Attorney Chronicles, we're gonna spend our few days in the ship studying, and we're gonna go to Great Britain, to London, I guess. And I guess I'll see you guys all next time.